Live from the Brigadier Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Battles of Bigger Civil War, which I was Bang and Dang, coming at you again, with some more battles of the American Civil War, obviously. Right. We are still in the middle of the Overland Campaign, as well as the Atlanta Campaign of 1864. Plus, we got some other little things mixed into here, as we have Forrest's defense of Mississippi, a battle in that one, and then we'll have a battle from... what's his name? Morgan's raid into Kentucky, which is just one battle that we're going to go over today. We got the battles of Brice's Crossroads, the battle of Cynthiana, and the battle of Trevilian Station, which we mentioned last week, which is an, is it Overland? I don't know if that was an Overland Campaign one or what. That is, yes, it is. It is. Also, that battle of Trevilian Station is the bloodiest and largest all-cavalry battle of the whole war. That's what we got going on today. The Battle of the Trevilian Station is going to be the longest battle that we do of the day. But before we do that, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network, shorts, clips, exclusive Dart League. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, give us a review, share us with your friends, answer that Spotify question, and join our Discord. Links in the description. We'll get right into it. Brice's crosswords. He like Brice and his crosswords. He likes to do Battle of Brice's Crossroads, also known as the Battle of Tishomingo Creek or the Battle of Guntown, fought Friday, June 10th, 1864, near Baldwin, Mississippi, as part of Forrest's defense of Mississippi. Okay. March 1864, Lieutenant General Ulysses S. Grant, who was newly named General-in-Chief of the Armies, and his most trusted subordinate, Major General William Tecumseh Sherman, planned a new coordinated strategy to cripple the Confederate States and win the war. Grant would smash General Lee's army in Virginia and head for Richmond. At the same time, Sherman would destroy the other main Confederate force, which was the Army of the Tennessee, and seize the key city of Atlanta. Calling itself the Gate City of the South, Atlanta was a strategic backdoor to the Confederate States. It was the South's most productive arsenal, and after Richmond, and a critical transportation hub. 4 railroads radiating from the city carried supplies to their forces. Yeah, Atlanta was big. Mm-hmm. I could argue they could have even just captured Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Said, fuck Richmond.
Right. Sherman began his Atlanta campaign during the first week of May, 1863? 64, was it? Moving slowly south while battling Confederate forces under General Joseph Johnston. An excellent defensive fighter he was. Johnston called in reinforcements, including Lieutenant General Leonidas Polk and 2 divisions of the Army of Mississippi, which in turn left Major General Stephen Lee in command of all remaining Confederate forces within Polk's Department of Alabama, Mississippi, and East Louisiana. That's all they got left of Louisiana. I don't even know how they still have that.
Well, that's why it's East Louisiana.
All right. Lee took charge of the department, but wisely gave Major General Nathan Forrest authority to act independently in the northern part of Mississippi and Tennessee.
During the 4-month Atlanta campaign, the U.S. Army advanced steadily, but in the process, it extended their supply lines that stretched back to Nashville, Tennessee. As the campaign progressed, Sherman grew concerned that the brazen forest, not like woods and stuff,
right,
the guy might move his Confederate cavalry force out of the North Mississippi into the Middle Tennessee, strike the supply lines, and perhaps jeopardize the entire Federal effort. As a result, Sherman in late May ordered Brigadier General Samuel Sturgis out of Memphis into North Mississippi with a force of just over 8,000. Sturgis's mission was to keep Forrest occupied and, if possible, destroy the Confederate cavalry force that Forrest commanded.
Oh, fantastic. Sherman's orders to Sturgis came just in time, as Forrest's cavalry had just left for Middle Tennessee and was forced to turn back to Mississippi to once again defend the northern part of the state. The old Federales expedition marched out of Memphis on the 1st of June. Sturgis had a great deal of discretion in his movements, but was generally expected to proceed to Corinth, that's Mississippi, by the way of Salem and Ruckersville. He had to capture any force that may be there, and then proceed south, destroying the Mobile and Ohio Railroad to Tupelo and Okolona, and as far as possible toward Macon and Columbus. Oh, he's trying to get to Macon, huh?
9:45 a.m., June 10th, the brigade of Benjamin H. Grierson's cavalry division reached Brice's Crossroads. This battle started at 10:30 a.m. when the Confederates performed a stalling operation with a brigade of their own.
Oh.
Forrest ordered the rest of his cavalry to converge around the crossroads. The remainder of the Federal cavalry arrived in support, but a strong Confederate assault soon pushed them back at 11:30 a.m. when the balance of Forrest's cavalry corps arrived on the scene. Grierson called for infantry support, and Sturgis obliged. Much obliged. The line held until 1:30 p.m. when the first regiments of the U.S. infantry arrived.
Right. The Federale line, initially bolstered by the infantry, briefly seized the momentum, attacked the old Rebs' left flank, but Forrest launched an attack from his extreme right and left wings before the rest of the Federale infantry could take in the field. In this phase of the battle, Forrest commanded his field artillery to unlimber, unprotected, only yards from the old Federale line, and to shred their troops with the canister.
Shred them up, boys.
You can try. The massive damage caused Sturgis to reorder his line in a tighter semicircle around Brice's crossroads, facing east.
3:30, Forrest's 2nd Tennessee Cavalry assaulted the bridge across the Tishomingo. Although the attack failed, it caused severe confusion among the U.S. troops, and Sturgis ordered a general retreat.
No shit.
With the Tennesseans still pressing, the retreat bottlenecked at the Tishomingo Bridge, and a panic rout developed instead.
Oh, shit.
Sturgis's force fled wildly, pursued on their return to Memphis across 6 counties before the exhausted Confederate attackers retired.
Damn.
Jeez, they're like, all right. Go.
Holy shit. In correspondence with Brigadier General Sturgis, Colonel Alex Wilkin, commander of the 9th Minnesota Infantry, he listed several reasons for the loss of the battle. He stated that General Sturgis, knowing that his men were undersupplied, had been on less than half rations and had been hesitant to advance on the enemy, but had done so against his better judgment because he had been ordered to do so.
Man, got to follow your orders.
Yeah.
When the cavalry had engaged the enemy, many of the infantry had been ordered to advance double time to support the cavalry. In their weakened condition, many had fallen out in the advance.
Right.
Those who did arrive were exhausted at the beginning of the battle, while the Confederates were fresh and well-fed, owing to a large supply in their rear.
Oh, fantastic.
They got a large rear.
Right. All that junk in that trunk. The roads to Tupelo were wet and sloppy due to 6 sequential days of rain, which slowed the advance of supply wagons and ammo trains. Several men were detailed to try to make the roads passable. Yeah, good luck. Additionally, the horses
build, what do they call those roads?
Dirt roads.
No, they plank them.
Plank roads.
They're called
2
something.
tracks.
They're called something.
Additionally, the horses pulling the trains were poorly fed because there had been little in the way of forage for them to eat along this very way. This accounted for Major General Forrest's capture of the artillery and supplies.
Oh, jeez.
Intelligence had entirely favored the South because the old Rebs had been constantly fed info about the position.
They're getting fed food and info. Look at these guys eating well.
Right, getting fed info about the strength and position of the Federales from civilians in the area, while Brigadier General Sturgis had received no such intelligence whatsoever. Rebs, I haven't seen those guys in months.
Right, well, that's what I thought the war was over.
Really? You guys still doing this shit?
I thought hurricane season was over.
All right. We can nuke it.
Because of this info, Forrest planned to meet the Federals at a place where he could ambush Sturgis and make a retreat as difficult as possible.
Right.
This location was close to a supply depot and very far from the U.S. armies.
Ooh.
When the retreat had occurred, with food and supplies exhausted, many of the Federal soldiers were unable to retreat with the rest because of fatigue. They're like, I just can't do it anymore.
Right.
This is why so many Federals were taken prisoner during this battle. Finally, Wilkins stated that the rumors Sturgis had been intoxicated at the battle were false. Why do they always try to blame, he was drunk?
That son of a bitch was drunk. He's like, I wasn't then.
Right. Not during the battle.
Right. The Brice's Crossroads National Battlefield Site, established in the year 1929. It commemorates the Battle of Brice's Crossroads, obviously. No, it commemorates the Battle of California. Was there one? And is considered one of the best preserved of the American Civil War.
Hey, look at you, Brice's Crossroad National Battlefield Site.
Fantastic. The National Park Service erected and maintains monuments and interpretive panels on a small 1-acre plot at the crossroads.
Meet me at the crossroads. You can read my monuments.
1994, concerned citizens organized the Brice Crossroads National Battlefield Commission, Incorporated.
Concerned citizens.
To protect and preserve additional battlefield land. With assistance from the Civil War Trust and many of its supporters, and the support from federal, state, and local governments, BCNBC has purchased for preservation over 1,420 acres of freaking land.
Good for them. Much of the land was purchased from the Agnew family, who still own some of the property that became the site of the battlefield. The modern Bethany Presbyterian Church is at the southeast side of the crossroads. At the time of the battle, this congregation's meeting house was located farther south along the Baldwin Road, so it was still there. Well, Bethany Cemetery, adjacent to the National Park Service Monument, predates the American Civil War.
Oh, shit.
Many of the area's earliest settlers are buried here.
Oh.
The graves of more than 90 Confederate soldiers killed across the roads are also located in this very cemetery.
Oh, fantastic. Look at that shit. Federal soldiers were buried in common graves, but were later reinterred into the Memphis National Cemetery. The American Battlefield Trust and the Spartans, including the BCNBC, has been acquiring and preserving land at Brice Crossroads since 1996, when the Trust's predecessor organization, the Association for the Preservation of Civil War Sites, well, they acquired and preserved 797.7 acres, about 2/3 of the battlefield, and did that in 2 purchases.
Good for them.
Year 2001, 2 years after the merger of the APCWS and the original Civil War Trust. The new organization, the Civil War Preservation Trust, also known as now known as the American Battlefield Trust, they acquired 512.8 additional acres. Additional purchases during the past 16 years have been increased, and the total battlefield land acquired and preserved to 1,500 acres as of late 2021, which is nearly the entire battlefield.
I would say, yeah. Awesome. Good for them. I'm trying to keep the whole battlefield intact. And that's going to lead us to the Second Battle of Cynthiana. Included 3 separate, in case you guys didn't know, the Confederates won that last battle, obviously. Yes. It includes 3 separate, the Battle of Cynthiana does 3 separate engagements that were fought June 11th and 12th, Harrison County, Kentucky, in and near the town of Cynthiana. This is part of Confederate Brigadier General John H. Morgan's 1864 raid into Kentucky.
Oh, fantastic.
Morgan's command had previously captured the town in the First Battle of Cynthiana, which I don't think we covered because it wasn't significant. Maybe we did. In July 17th of 1862. Dawn, June 11th, 1864, Brigadier General John Morgan approached Cynthiana with 1,200 cavalrymen. The town was defended by a small Union force under Colonel Conrad Garris, commanding 5 companies of the 168th Ohio Infantry, and some Home Guard troops, which were about 300 men altogether.
Damn. That's a rout right there. Well, Morgan's divided his troops into 2 columns, which approached the town from south and east, and launched an attack at the covered bridge, driving Garris's forces back towards the Kentucky Central Railroad Depot, and north along railroad towards the Rankin House.
Damn, that house is ranking.
Right. Which federal troops used as a fortified position. Having no artillery in which to drive the old Federales from the positions, the old Rebs set fire to the town, destroying 37 buildings and killing some of the Union troops.
Bastards. As fighting flared in Cynthiana, another Union force, about 500 men of the 171st Ohio Infantry, along with 30 other men from the 47th Regiment Kentucky Volunteer Mounted Infantry, and 70 men from the 52nd Regiment Kentucky Volunteer Mounted Infantry, under the overall command of Brigadier General Edward Hobson. They arrived by train about a mile north of Cynthiana at Keller's Bridge, the bridge having been burned by a detachment of Morgan's command a few days prior. This force fought portions of Morgan's force for about 6 hours.
Oh, that's cool. Right. Eventually, Morgan, he trapped his new Union force in a meander of the Licking River.
That's the Licking River.
Altogether, Morgan had about 1,300 Union prisoners of war camping with him overnight in the line of battle.
Oh, jeez.
171st Ohio Infantry.
175th. It's 175th. Well, hey, fucking Union prisoners of war.
Right.
You're there. Start attacking motherfuckers. You got 1,300 of them.
The 171st Ohio Infantry was paroled the very next day.
Oh, look at them.
This engagement, Morgan's last victory, was known as the Battle of Keller's Bridge named for Abraham Keller, not spelled Kellar.
Okay.
Was
that like a
right
common misconception or something?
Maybe. With little ammo, Morgan recklessly decided to stay and fight and expected larger Union force. Brigadier General Stephen Burbridge, with 2,400 men, a combined force of Ohio, Kentucky, and Michigan, mounted infantry and cavalry, along with a section of artillery, they attacked Morgan at dawn.
Oh, Morgan should have got out of there.
On the 12th of June, this action taking place on the hills east of town.
Well, the Union forces did indeed drive the rebels back, causing them to flee into Cynthiana, where many were captured or killed.
Damn.
General Morgan and many of his officers escaped, though, because, of course, combined casualties in the separate Union forces were 1,092 men, while Morgan is estimated to have lost about 1,000.
Wow.
Although no firm records exist. Cynthiana demonstrated that Union numbers and mobility were starting to take their toll, as Confederate cavalry and partisans could no longer raid with impunity.
Nope.
Meaning, they ain't just going to go and raid and get away with this shit no more. Your guys are done. We got a lot more people freed up now that we've taken over half of Mississippi and all that surrounding shit. What's left? Virginia and Georgia, pretty much?
Pretty much.
South
Carolina, probably.
Well, nobody cares about any of the Carolinas.
Right. All right. Got that out of the way. It looks like a Union victory on that one. They'll probably say inconclusive, though.
See you in victory.
Moving on. The Battle of Trevilian Station fought June 11th and 12th, 1864, same time as this other battle that we were just doing. General Ulysses S. Grant's Overland Campaign, that's its part of it. Union Cavalry under Major General Philip Sheridan. Fill him up,
Sheridan.
Union Cavalry under Major General Philip Sheridan, they fought against the old Rebs Cavalry under Major Generals Wade Hampton and Fitzhugh Lee. This was the bloodiest and largest all-cavalry battle of the war.
Poor Jeb Stuart, you could have been in this, but you got fucking shot and killed.
Following the bloody Union repulse at the Battle of Cold Harbor on the 3rd of June, Grant decided on a new strategy. Since May 4th, his Overland Campaign had consisted of major battles against Robert E. Lee, each of which was the Wilderness, Spotsylvania Courthouse, North Anna, Totopotomoy Creek, and Cold Harbor. And then it was followed by a period of stalemate, and then a maneuver around Lee's right flank in an attempt to draw him away from his entrenchments and into the open. And Lee's like, you ain't get me on that open, mofo. Not today, Charlie.
He tried. Each maneuver brought the armies closer to the Confederate capital, Richmond, but as we've said before, the city's not the main objective, as it is the destruction of Lee's army, which was a goal established by Grant and Abraham Lincoln with the understanding that Richmond and the Confederacy would fall if Lee were defeated.
Damn right.
Grant's new strategy was to march his 100,000-man army to the south, cross the James River, seize the rail hub of Petersburg. They tried that last episode in the Battle of Petersburg.
Did.
This will cut off the supply lines to both Richmond and Lee, forcing the evacuation of the capital and probably inducing Lee to attack Grant's army in a manner favorable to Grant's superior numbers and firepower.
He's like, he's going to have to do something.
He's got to.
Right. His plan required secrecy because his army would be vulnerable if intercepted while crossing the river. And he sought to reach Petersburg before the city's defenses could be enhanced beyond the token force that was currently there. Therefore, on June 5th, Grant ordered a cavalry raid to be commanded by Major General Philip Sheridan towards northwest, towards Charlottesville. The raid had two initial objectives. First, Sheridan would draw the old rebel cavalry away from Grant's main army, so his infantry corps could stealthily disengage from Lee's army at Cold Harbor and move towards the James.
The second one was that the Union cavalrymen would tear up the Virginia Central Railroad towards Richmond, cutting off Lee's army from the much-needed food supplies produced by the Shenandoah Valley.
You ain't kidding.
Sheridan was ordered to destroy the railroad bridge on the Ravenna River, just east of Charlottesville, and destroy the tracks from there to Gordonsville.
Oh, man.
Then his men would turn back and destroy the track all the way to Hanover Junction near Richmond.
Wow.
They said, we're going to take it all out.
And just after Grant issued the orders to Sheridan, he learned of Major General David Hunter's Union victory at the Battle of Piedmont in the Shenandoah Valley against Brigadier General William Grumble Jones. We all know what happened to Grumble. Poor guy.
Yeah.
He saw the opportunity that Hunter could travel east from Staunton to meet Sheridan at Charlottesville, so that they could be a combined threat to Lee's army from the west. Grant modified his orders, telling Sheridan to wait for Hunter near Charlottesville, and then detach a brigade to cut the James River Canal in half.
Well, let's take a look at who we got fighting here. Cavalry Corps of the Union Army of the Potomac, commanded by Sheridan, began its raid with two of its three divisions, which was 9,286 men. They were organized as followed. 1st Cavalry Division, commanded by Brigadier General Alfred Torbert. 2nd Cavalry Division, commanded by Brigadier General James Gregg, or David Gregg, my bad. Horse Artillery Brigade, commanded by Captain James N. Robertson, which included 6 artillery batteries with 20 guns. Sheridan's 3rd Cavalry Division, commanded by Brigadier General James Wilson, remained at Cold Harbor with the Army of the Potomac under the supervision of Army Commander Major General Meade. They're like, we need a little bit of cavalry at least.
Right, just a little bit.
It accompanied the army on its march, yes. Yeah. Sheridan left behind with Wilson the men from his other two divisions who did not have mounts.
Oh, right. Well, the Cavalry Corps under the old rebel Northern Virginia Army.
Yep.
was without a formal commander. What? The Cavalry Corps of the Confederate Army of North Virginia was without a former commander, though, because we all know what happened to Jeb Stuart, poor guy. That happened back in May, just 1 month earlier. Body's not even decomposed yet. It might be.
I don't even think it was a month. It was literally like 2 weeks ago.
Right. Poor guy. Man, should have been reconnoitering.
Right.
The senior cavalry commander opposing Sheridan's force was Major General Wade Hampton. Hampton was named the former commander of the Cavalry Corps on August 11, 1864, so just about 2 months after this battle. Hampton's command consisted of 6,762 men and organized as follows. Hampton's division, which is commanded by Wade Hampton, consisted of the brigades commanded by Brigadier General Thomas Roser and Matthew Butler and Colonel Gilbert Wright. Fitzhugh Lee's division, commanded by Major General Fitzhugh Lee, which is General Robert E. Lee's little nephew. Come on, nephew.
Little nephew. What up, nephew?
You had the brigades of Brigadier General William C. Wickham's brigade and Lunsford Lomax. Lomax? What was that from?
Lomax? Bernie Lomax, wasn't it?
Yeah. And he had an independent command with the 1st Maryland Cavalry Battalion, which had was commanded by Colonel Bradley T. Johnson. And he also had the Baltimore Light Artillery. Oh, what the fuck's you going to do with the light artillery? You need a heavy artillery, motherfucker.
Do you, though?
Horse Artillery Battalion, commanded by Major General James... Major James Breathhead, included 4 artillery batteries. Hampton's overall artillery strength was 14 guns.
Well, that's a 14 to 20, was it? Yeah.
That's a lot. The rest of the Cavalry Corps, Rooney's Lee's division, commanded by Major General W.H.F. Rooney Lee, which is Robert E. Lee's son.
Look at that.
Oh, look at that shit. And also an independent cavalry command under Brigadier General Martin Gary. And the bulk of the horse artillery remained with the army during Sheridan's raid.
Okay, so we both got a little piece of the cavalry for the main army. Sheridan and his 2 cavalry divisions left their camps north of Cold Harbor at 5 a.m. June 7th.
Oh.
They crossed a pontoon bridge at Newcastle over the Pamunkey River and headed northwest, with Gregg's division in the lead, Tobert's following. The weather was hot and enormous clouds of dust billowed over the march.
Damn right.
On the first day, the column was able to march only about 15 miles. Numerous horses collapsed under the strain, and following the convention Sheridan used in his May raid to Yellow Tavern and Richmond, they were shot and left at the side of the road. What are you going to do with them?
Right.
Got to keep moving, fellas.
You'd have to kill them.
What are you going to do? Let them suffer?
Well, when they suffer, they'll find something to drink and rest.
Clearly not.
Although there were 125 wagons following Sheridan's column, the men were issued only 3 days' rations and were expected to feed themselves and their horses along the way. Dismounted foraging parties spread out along the route. On the very second day, with Torbert's division in the lead, the old Federales made better progress, covering the 25 miles to Polecat Station on the Richmond, Fredericksburg, and Potomac Railroad. The RFP. What you all know about the RFP? The Union column was plagued not only by the
I think
heat.
it still exists.
Probably not. The Union column was plagued not only by the heat and humidity of the Virginia summer. Skirmishing with irregular mounted raiding parties delayed the advance as well.
I bet it did. Confederate scouts passed word of Sheridan's movements to Hampton on the morning of June 8th. He correctly guessed that the Union targets were the railroad junctions at Gordonsville and Charlottesville, and knew that he would have to move quickly to block the threat. He ordered his own division to assemble at 2 a.m. on June 9th and directed Fitzhugh Lee to follow them as rapidly as possible. Although the Federals had a 2-day head start, the Confederates had the advantage of a shorter route, which they only had to travel 45 miles versus the Union 65, and terrain that was more familiar to them. Right. I mean, you're fighting in Virginia, dude. It's like fighting in Vietnam.
Oh, shit. 9th of June, first anniversary of the Battle of Brandy Station. They walked at a slow, deliberate pace.
At a medium pace.
Covering nearly 30 miles through Yellow Tavern, up the Telegraph Road, and then following the route of the Virginia Central Railroad, the Bum Pass, and Fredericks Hall stations. By the evening of the 10th of June, 1864, both forces had converged around Trevilian Station.
So what do we have here?
Named for the Charles Goodall Trevilian, who owned a plantation house near the station. Makes sense. He was fired
Got the plantation near the station.
He was the main guy in that little town, right?
Right.
The Confederates camped in 4 locations immediately south of the Virginia Central on a Gordonsville Road. From just west of the Trevilian Station, east to the Louisa Courthouse. Just east of the Louisa Courthouse. The old Federales had crossed over the North Anna River at Carpenter's Ford and camped at locations around Clayton's store.
Right. Dawn, June 11th, Hampton was awakened by Rosser and Butler to the sound of bugles stirring the enemy. The 2 Confederate brigade commanders had already roused their men. Oh, jeez, they went around them. Get ready, guys.
Yeah, good to go.
Rosser asked, "General, what do you propose to do today, if I may inquire?" Hampton replied, "I propose to fight." Hampton was told by a black Union orderly spying for General Rosser in Union headquarters. Oh, fucker. What's that guy doing? Uncle Tom.
Right.
He told them that Sheridan's force would approach the railroad from the direction of Clayton's store, and he knew that there were 2 roads leading south from the crossroads location, both through thick woods. One road led to Trevilian Station, and the other to Louisa Courthouse. So either way, you're there, bud.
Right. Hampton devised a plan in which he would split his divisions across the roads and converge on the enemy at the crossroads, pushing Sheridan back to the North Anna, which is the river. Hampton took 2 of his brigades with Butler and Wright with him from Trevilian, with his 3rd, Rozier, remaining on the left to prevent flanking. We don't want them flankings.
Right.
The other division under Fitzhugh Lee was ordered to advance from the Louisa Courthouse, making up the right flank. While the old Rebs began their advance, Sheridan started his. Torbert's brigades under Merritt and Devon moved down the road to Trevilian Station, while his 3rd, Custer's, advanced toward Louisa Courthouse.
The first contact occurred on the Trevilian Road as the 4th South Carolina Cavalry of Butler's brigade clashed with Merritt's skirmish line. Hampton dismounted his men and pushed the skirmishers back into thick woods, expecting Fitzhugh Lee to arrive on his right at any minute.
Uh-oh.
However, Hampton was severely outnumbered, and soon he was forced back.
Oh, shit.
Eventually, Wright's brigade joined in the close quarter fighting in the thick brush, but after several hours, they also were pushed back as well within sight of Trevilian Station. Some of Hampton's staff officers grumbled that Fitz Lee had not come to Hampton's aid as expected because of his unwillingness to support any superior officer other than old Jeb. He's like, fuck this guy.
Right.
Still probably like, fuck you, fucking Jeb died.
Jeez, man, you gotta be better than that.
Look at this Hampton asshole.
Your uncle wouldn't be too happy with
Jeb
it.
never liked you.
Right. On the right flank, Fitzhugh Lee encountered the advancing brigade under Custer. Wickham's brigade fought briefly with the 1st and 7th Michigan Cavalry, and then withdrew. Lee led Lomax's brigade directly toward Trevilian Station, and Wickham came up through Louisa Courthouse on the rear. Meanwhile, Custer led his brigade on a more direct road southwest to Trevilian Station. Custer found that the station was totally unguarded, occupied only by Hampton's trained supply wagons. Hampton's trains, which were supply wagons, caissons containing ammo and food, and hundreds of horses.
He ordered the 5th Michigan Cavalry to charge and capture the lot, which they did with enthusiasm.
Nice.
The Michiganders captured 800 prisoners, 90 wagons, 6 artillery caissons, 1,500 horses, but left Custer cut off from Sheridan, and in their pursuit of the fleeing wagons, lost a number of their own men and much of their bounty. One of Wright's regiments, the 7th Georgia, got between Custer's force and the Trevilian Station. Custer ordered the 7th Michigan to charge again, driving the Georgians back.
Look at Michigan. Good for you guys. Hampton now learned of the threat in his rear and withdrew Rozier's brigade from protecting his left flank, sent him to that station, converging with Lee's approach from Louisa Courthouse and with Wright's and Butler's brigades.
Uh-oh.
Suddenly, Custer found his luck had run out, as he will later on as well. As he was pressured from 3 sides at the station, he pulled out and headed along the Gordonsville Road, taking his burdensome spoils with him. However, he failed to notice the old rebel horse artillery battery on a hill north of the station, which opened fire as soon as his men were in range. Oh, shit.
At this point, his right flank was further overwhelmed by Hampton's charging brigades.
Oh, shit.
Custer was now virtually surrounded, and his command in an ever-shrinking circle as every side was charged and hit with shells.
Oh, shit.
Historian Eric J. Wittenberg described the general's predicament as Custer's first last stand, foreshadowing his famous demise at the Battle of Little Bighorn.
Right.
Custer, suspecting that his command would be soon overrun and concerned that his flag would be captured, tore it from its staff when the flag bearer was hit and hid it within his coat. Look at that. Look at that guy.
Can't capture this flag, motherfucker.
Unless you kill me.
Right, Sheridan at this point heard the firing from Custer's direction and realized he needed help.
Look at you, Sheridan. Everybody else would have been like, yeah, what's going on there?
Right, Sheridan was like, we need your help.
Well, that's what Custer said, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. He needs our help. He charged with Devon's and Merritt's brigades, pushing Hampton's men back all the way to the station.
That shit.
While Gregg's brigade was ordered to swing into Fitzhugh Lee's exposed right flank, thus pushing him back even further. Hampton fell back to the west, Lee to the east, and the battle ended for the day with the Federales in position of Trevilian Station. Man, you guys had it.
Right.
Custer's brigade has suffered 361 casualties, including more than 1/2 of the 5th Michigan.
Damn. Well, when Sheridan asked Custer if he had lost his colors, he pulled them from his coat and exclaimed, "Not by a damn sight."
Ooh-wee.
That night, Fitzhugh Lee maneuvered south to link up with Hampton to the west of Trevilian Station. Sheridan learned that General Hunter was not headed for Charlottesville as originally planned, but to Lynchburg.
No.
He also received intelligence that Confederate Major General John Breckinridge's infantry had been sighted near Waynesboro, effectively blocking any chance for further advance, so he decided to abandon his raid and return to the main army at Cold Harbor.
You ain't kidding, right? June 12th, as the Union cavalry prepared to withdraw, Gregg's division destroyed Trevilian Station, several rail cars, and about a mile of track to the east of the station. He did that as well. Damn. Well, you're going to have to come back and rebuild it, I guess. While Torbert's division tore up track to the west. Concerned about the old rebels hovering near his flank at about 3 p.m., Sheridan sent Torbert's 3 brigades, supported by Davies' brigade of Gregg's division, on a reconnaissance west of the Gordonsville Road and Charlottesville Road. They found Hampton's entire force in an L-shaped line behind some log breastworks at Ogg and Gentry Farms, 2 miles northwest of Trevilian. They're like, oh shit.
All right. Well, Torbert launched 7 assaults against the apex and shorter leg of the L, but his brigades were repulsed with heavy losses. Why even attack him?
Right.
Fitzhugh Lee detached his division from the line, and his brigades under Wickham and Lomax swung around to hit the Union right flank with a strong counterattack.
Damn.
Battle ended about 10 p.m. with both sides remaining in place. Late in the night, however, Torbert withdrew. Sheridan, burdened with many wounded men disproportionately from Custer's brigade, about 500 prisoners, and a shortage of ammo, decided to withdraw.
Right, he's like, oh shit.
He planned a leisurely march back to Cold Harbor, knowing that Hampton would be obliged to follow and would be kept occupied for days, unavailable in that time to Robert E. Lee. I mean, smart, yeah. Look at him.
Wow. The results of the Battle of Trevilian Station were mixed. Union casualties had 1,007, which were 102 killed, 470 wounded, and 435 missing or captured. Though rebel losses reported as 612, but this includes the loss from only Hampton's division, and 831 is a better total.
Okay.
Right. It was the bloodiest and largest of all cavalry engagement during the war, as we said earlier. Sheridan, he maintained that the battle was a Union victory. 1866, he wrote this: "The result was constant success and the almost total annihilation of the rebel cavalry. We marched when and where we pleased. We're always the attacking party and always successful."
Well, I don't know about that. Ulysses S. Grant's personal memoirs agreed with the sentiment, and many of Sheridan's biographers accept his claim as well.
I'm sure they do.
Right. As a diversion, it can be considered a partial success for the Union. It was not until Grant began attacking the weak forces at Petersburg that General Lee finally understood that the Union Army had maneuvered away from him and crossed the James River. However, Sheridan failed in 2 important objectives. He was unable to permanently disrupt the Virginia Central Railroad because within 2 weeks of the track they tore up, guess what? It was repaired by the old Rebs, and supplies continued to flow right into General Lee's army.
Damn right it did.
I mean, it only tore up a mile. It's not hard to rebuild real quick.
Build that shit. The planned rendezvous between Sheridan and Hunter failed completely. Hunter was subsequently defeated at the Battle of Lynchburg, which we will have
Next week, I believe.
by Jubal Early from the old Rebs.
Old Jubal's still all kicking around here.
Right, and he was soon pushed back far into Maryland. Eric Wittenberg, the author of the modern definitive study of the battle, asserted that if Sheridan had successfully destroyed the railroad, Hunter might have succeeded in capturing Lynchburg because Early would have been forced to deal with Sheridan instead. That's true. Mm-hmm. He called the battle an unmitigated disaster for the old Federale cavalry and stated that nothing about the Battle of Trevilian Station can be considered to be a Union victory.
Well, it was for his actions at the Battle of Trevilian Station that noted architect Frank Furness.
Oh, Frank's Furnace.
Frank's Furnace was awarded the Medal of Honor.
Fantastic.
American Battlefield Trust and its partners have acquired and preserved 2,243 acres of the battlefield and more than a dozen transactions since 2001.
Yeah, but the world's so overpopulated that we can just have thousands of acres of battlefield just sitting there.
Right. Now, much of this land is now owned by the Trevilian Station Battlefield Foundation, which has developed an online drive-in tour. Oh, really? That begins at the Louisiana County Courthouse. No way. I'll have to check that out.
Right.
Yeah, there we go. And this was officially noted in record books, by the way, as a Confederate victory. So,
Yep.
Old Sheridan, you were wrong.
Right.
You were wrong.
They all try making themselves look good after the war, hoping that nobody's alive to say anything.
Right. Nobody will remember this. Nobody's going to remember this war in 200 years.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's going to do it for us in this episode. I was going to include the first Battle of Petersburg or the second Battle of Petersburg, but yeah, we're at like 35 minutes. So yeah, next week we will have the second Battle of Petersburg opening up, and then we'll have the aforementioned Battle of Lynchburg as well.
Nice.
And then yeah. definitely the Battle of Cherbourg, that France deal that we talked about, and most likely the Battle of Jerusalem Plank Road for sure. So we'll have another 4 for you next week, and those are all in Virginia except for the aforementioned France one.
Sweet Virginia.
So, cool. And then, well, the Confederates are in the midst of a hell of a little run right here.
Yeah,
so,
they did nothing.
And they did nothing. So that's going to be it. Remember, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. Stuff happens there.
Right.
And Spotify, Apple, give us a review, share us with your friends, answer that Spotify question, Discord link in the description, and we'll come back next week for 4 more battles of this American Civil War. We are the Mother Michigan as we
Bang a dang.